Shane Mahood Sweeter than a heart-shaped box of chocolates. The Hallmark Channel's Valentine's Day movies are a February tradition. They're full of comforting romantic comedy formulas like mistaken identities, charming small towns, and people who hate each other at first, but then start to soften toward each other. Here, some of our favorites. 1 of 16 Dater's Handbook. We admit that the subject of the Dater's Handbook is less interesting than its star, a pre-royalty Meghan Markle. Her character, Cassandra, in a bid to stop her habit of choosing the wrong man for herself, decides to evaluate all potential new love interests according to a self-help book that's also called the Dater's Handbook. We wonder how Harry would stack up against the book's criteria. Watch if you love Bridget Jones's Diary, Sleepless in Seattle. 2 of 16 My Secret Valentine. Mom and Pop vs. Big Business Rivalries, Secret Crushes with Hidden Identities. My Secret Valentine recalls some of the all-time great romantic comedies. This time, Chloe, Lacey Chabert, is despondent when she learns her father is thinking of selling their family winery to a big distributor, a distributor that happens to have a charming wine rep, Andrew W. Walker. She tries to forget her troubles by reviving an old family cabin with the help of an anonymous handyman who leaves her notes. And did I mention the winery's Valentine's Wine Festival is coming up? Watch if you love You've Got Mail, The Shop Around the Corner. 3 of 16 Very Valentine. If you're into the types of movies where the one was there all along, you'll love the story of Henry, Cameron Matheson, and Helen, Danica McKellar. In Very Valentine, the pair meet over a mutual love of botany in college, but does running a flower shop, hectic Valentine's days, and a dashing suitor for Helen, who just happens to wear her specially bred rose in his lapel at a fancy masquerade ball that comes to an abrupt halt at midnight, keep them apart. Watch if you love Cinderella. When Harry met Sally. 4 of 16 Lovelocks. Who can find fault with a romantic movie set in Paris? Even if the on-screen chemistry doesn't work for you, there's all that beautiful scenery to fall in love with. In Lovelocks, a New York City magazine publisher, Rebecca Romaine, goes on a trip to Paris, where she meets up with an old flame, Jerry O'Connell, who also encourages her to get back to her first love, art. Who would want to return to NYC after that? Watch if you love French Kiss, Before Sunset. 5 of 16 Love at First Glance. If you've ever locked eyes with someone during your commute and immediately started fantasizing about your future together, you might feel for journalist Mary Landers, Amy Smart, in Love at First Glance. After watching a handsome man, James Adrien Grenier, leave his phone behind on a train, she starts up a texting flirtation with him and eventually secures his blessing to write a profile of him. She starts to interview the contacts in his phone, and learns his whole life story before they ever truly meet in person. Watch if you love While You Are Sleeping. 27 Dresses. 6 of 16 Cooking with Love. They say food is the fastest way to a person's heart, but in the case of Kelly, Allie Liebert, and Stephen, Brett Dalton, it's also a point of contention. In Cooking with Love, Kelly is a producer at a cooking show who is trying to prove she deserves a promotion, while Stephen is an on-air chef who challenges her ideas. If there's one thing we love, it's a rom-com where the heroine's professional ambitions are taken seriously, and we never for a moment root for Kelly's relationship over her show. Watch if you love The Ugly Truth, Morning Glory. 7 of 16 All Things Valentine. And All Things Valentine, when Avery, Sarah Rafferty, another Suits actress, is assigned to write a dating advice column for a local newspaper, she doesn't realize that her new crush, Brendan Sam Page, is the one leaving angry comments on her stories. Her advice, after all, is the reason his ex broke up with him. It's more You've Got Mail style mistaken identities, but without the commerce complicating things. Watch if you love Down with Love, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. 8 of 16 The Sweeter Side of Life. Hallmark movies are chock full of characters who give up busy, go-go city lives and go back to their humble roots. If you're a sucker for this kind of story, The Sweeter Side of Life follows Desiree Harper, Catherine Morris, who has to return to her family's New Jersey bakery after her wealthy husband announces that he's leaving her for a younger woman. There, she reconnects with what she loved to do before she fell into her Sex and the City-esque lifestyle, and connects with a possible new love. Watch if you love Sweet Home Alabama, Forever My Girl. 9 of 16 Perfect Match. The central duo in Perfect Match starts off trying to plan the perfect wedding for someone else. A newly engaged couple brings on two different wedding planners to see who could come up with the best vision for their perfect day. It's another rival to romance story, and we can't get enough of those. Watch if you love The Wedding Planner, Bride Wars. 10 of 16 Anything for Love. Ever fib on a dating profile? Who hasn't? Anything for Love follows a high-powered exec, Erica Christensen, who, in her bio, downgrades herself to assistant to keep men from being intimidated. She meets a male nurse, Paul Green, whose friend lies and changes his profile to say he's a doctor to seem more impressive to women. This movie will make you feel better about your own early relationship. White Lies. Watch if you love Sierra Burgess is a loser, never been kissed. 11 of 16 Love at First Bark. If you're the person who knows all the names of the neighborhood dogs, but can only kinda guess at their owners' names, you need to make sure your rom-com has some furry friends in it too. Love at First Bark is about an interior designer, Jana Kramer, with a newly launched business who adopts a dog and needs some advice on obedience, conveniently from a handsome dog trainer, Kevin McGarry. Puppy Love. Watch if you must love dogs. The truth about cats and dogs. 12 of 16 A Dash of Love. Young chef Nikki, Jen Lilly, wants to open her own restaurant someday, so her restaurant boss, Holly Perry Gilpin, lets her dabble in the kitchen after hours, and eventually starts passing of Nikki's recipes as her own. With the help of another cook, Paul Brendan Penny, Nikki attempts to pull off a pop-up restaurant and make a name for herself. A Dash of Love proves there's something about the inner workings of the restaurant business, the heat, the creativity, that always makes kitchens the perfect metaphor for new relationships. Watch if you love Ratatouille. Big Night. 13 of 16 Falling for Vermont. For those who fantasize about taking a break from their busy lives, Falling for Vermont is the one. It's about a newly successful yacht author, Julie Gonzalo, who decides to slip away from a barrage of publicity, but during her escape, she gets into an accident and winds up in small-town Vermont with a bout of temporary amnesia. It's a good thing there's a handsome Dr. Benjamin Ayres to care for her until she's ready to return to her old life, if she returns to her old life. Watch if you love The Vow. Overboard. 14 of 16 Like cats and dogs, they say opposites attract, and there's no people more opposite than dog people and cat people. Like cats and dogs finds a free-spirited dog owner, Cassidy Gifford, and an uptight cat guy, Wyatt Nash, forced to share a vacation house after a reservation mix-up. Does Cassidy Gifford look familiar? She's the daughter of Kathy Lee. Watch if you love Grease. The Cutting Edge. 15 of 16 All of My Heart. 16 of 16 WATCHL. John Stamos and Caitlin McHugh's love story.